after doing the passive hip flexion test, we've got a few corrective strategies to go through, 4 in particular. So the first one is the static stretch that we're going to do for this. Now this is a more appropriate strategy for a client who is quite deconditioned. So if you have got a younger client, they're not really going to get much out of this and you're not going to get much improvement. However, there's a few key steps to getting this exercise done correctly. So we're going to go through that now. So the lying knee hip flexion stretch is pretty simple. It's laying down, pull the knee to the chest. That's what a lot of people think this is. But we've got to be a little bit better at cueing that so we actually get the outcome that we want. So from here, the first one is to ensure that when we do pull in, we don't really flatten the back out. So this is the opposite of some of the other exercises. We're trying to increase hip flexion, but not lumbar flexion. So if someone's struggling, you can put their hand under their back and get a pillow, or what I prefer is you can force them to keep an arch there. Pull the toe towards the head, push the other leg down into the ground, and pull the toe, and then hold that position there. So what you're trying to do is create dynamic stability through the lumbar spine, through the opposite hip, through the foot, and you're trying to hold that position while you're getting a stretch. What will happen here is you'll actually start taking the hip into flexion rather than the hip and lumbar spine into flexion. A really easy way to look for that is when the client pulls in, can you see how my other knee is bending? That's showing that I'm starting to compensate from the lumbar spine and rounding over. So you push down into the ground, arch your back, pull in. You won't go very far then, toe towards head, but you can still see this is over 120 degrees of hip flexion. The cool thing about doing a passive stretch while trying to create some active stability in other sections of the body is it's going to have more of a carryover to real life dynamic movement. In particular, we're looking at hip flexion, we're looking at things like squats, we're looking at deadlifts, all those things. So when you coach your exercises, even your corrective strategies, start thinking into the future, into what particular movement pattern they're going to assist to be better.